Alrighty, hello folks, and welcome to AD2L Season 10, Week 5. This is a best of 2 matchup between
Radiant's
Plasma
ban.
Nation and Reborn Domination Z. Getting underway right away here. You see Reborn Domination having done their homework a little bit and banning out the lone druid, who was played quite a bit by Plasma Nation here last week. And give me just a second here. It looks like my audio levels are a little bit loud, so I'm gonna drop that down. That's still a bit loud.
10 seconds to go.
Constant struggle finding the right levels. But I think that should do it. If you're tuning in on twitch.tv/DarminCast, please feel free to give me a heads up if the background sound is too loud, too soft, whatever the case may be. I'll make sure I get it set to the right level for you. But taking a look at the remainder of the bands here, Reborn Domination, getting rid of the Faceless Void, one of the most popular heroes that has been played at the professional circuit right now, and he's seen a lot of play in the pub tier Dota as well. I sat in as a stand-in for some entry-level teams here yesterday where we had to play into a Faceless Void, and it was definitely a chore to have to deal with Chronosphere non-stop throughout the game. Plasma Nation meeting those bans with a ban on the OD and the Lycan for themselves.
Reserve time.
Nothing too shocking, nothing too revealing here so far as Reborn Domination pick up an Invoker mid, and Plasma Nation may be going back to the well here with their early push strategy as they do pick up a Chen as their first pick and Witch Doctor as their second. So not necessarily hard committing to an all-out push strat like before, but as we saw from last week's games, Chen is definitely a dominant force in terms of enchanting those creeps and pushing down the lanes pretty early. Reborn Domination, our RDZ, grabbing the gyrocopter as an answer, provides them with some AoE capabilities, the call down, the flak cannon, and gyrocopters all around. Just one of those versatile heroes. He's most likely going to be in the safe lane here, and he's relatively easy to execute. You're always going to find some farm. You're always going to be relatively safe because you're a hard carry that's ranged, which is kind of nice. They also ban out the Undying, so really focusing their bans on the off-lane heroes here by the looks of things. And as I say that, they ban out another mid that they don't want to go up against in the form of Viper. But Plasma Nation banning out the Ancient Apparition as well as the Outworld Devourer, or Outworld Destroyer. Looks like they're trying to minimize RDZ's capabilities of having big synergistic AoE teamfight potential with the Invokers, Tornado EMP into a call down into things like an Echo Slam or an Ice Blast or Sanity's Eclipse, some of those wombo combos. Especially if they are planning to push towers early on, they're going to want to limit RDZ's capabilities of team fighting in the early stages of the game.
Radiant's pick.
But it looks like it's not going to be a complete tower rushing lineup here as Plasma pick up a Juggernaut. Definitely another one of the most common carries out there right now. He's just valuable across the board. He's kind of self-reliant in the fact that he has that healing ward, which opens up the possibility of Plasma Nation playing an aggressive tri-lane with the Juggernaut in the Dire top lane, so the Dire safe lane, and just kind of out-tanking whoever RDZ decide to throw into that off lane.
Beastmaster.
Radiant's pick.
RDZ picking up an Ogre Magi. So they're going to have a ton of attack speed here. If you look at the synergy between Ogre Magi and Invoker. So they're going to be able to throw out Bloodlust, which scales up to 60 attack speed. And I don't know what Alacrity provides in terms of attack speed increase,
10 seconds to
I know
go.
it's significant. So if you combine both of those attack
5
speed buffs
seconds.
onto one hero like your Gyrocopter, he's going to be hitting them pretty fast. So I wouldn't be
Reserve
surprised to
time.
see Gyro just pick up something like a BKB into some lifesteal and act as their team's front lines. And then the only thing he would really need to avoid so far is going to be some of those early lockdown capabilities, the Witch Doctor Paralyzing Cask, the Beastmaster Roar, and possibly staying out of an early Omni Slash. But as long as he gets that BKB off in a timely fashion, he should be able to hold his ground relatively early here for a while. The Beastmaster pickup slightly synergizes with Chen in the fact that it adds some more zoo potential to the Plasma Nation lineup. I suspect we'll see Beastmaster build into a Necronomicon as well, especially since he's going into an Invoker, who's going to be able to jump into Ghost Walk and possibly stealth his way out of team fights to victory. But if the Necronomicon is online early enough, he's going to be caught out. Taking a look at the heroes that have been picked the most here in 686. This is across all regions and tournaments. And one of the heroes is still on the board in the form of the most played hero is Vengeful Spirit with 352 games. But he's going to get overlooked. This game is, I think, most of the cores are not cores, excuse me, most of the supports are already on the board. However, second and third place in terms of overall plays, you have Gyrocopter with 317 games, and he'll be played by RDZ. And Invoker with 306 games, also played by RDZ.
10 seconds to go.
The closest one on the leaderboard that the Dire team have is going to be the Witch Doctor with 227, so a whole 80 games beneath the Invoker and Gyrocopter. So RDZ definitely sticking to a popular meta in terms of their cores so far. Their supports, not so much, but with supports you have some flexibility. You just want to do whatever works. I think the Ogre Magi synergizes really well with the Invoker in terms of, as I mentioned before, that kind of hyper boosted attack speed. And the Chikiro combines pretty well with both the Gyrocopter and the Invoker, because you're going to be able to line up those tornadoes. As the tornado is letting go, you line up the ice path, so when they land, they're frozen and they're guaranteed to get hit by that EMP, possibly even stacking the Macro Pyre on top of all of that damage. So definitely some potential there, and you can see it's forcing Plasma to really think about their last pick here, as they've banned out the Tidehunter, again looking to get rid of some of that Wombo combo team synergy mechanics that are in play, and RDZ getting rid of the Death Prophet, knowing that Plasma Nation still is probably looking to pick up their mid laner, and knowing that Death Prophet is pretty solid in terms of pushing towers relatively early with her exorcism. So good bans by both teams, kind of recognizing what their opponents are doing here and working around it a little bit.
10 seconds to go.
And with 6 seconds left on the clock, Plasma Nation pick up the Phoenix. So answering some team fight potential with some team fight potential of their own. It could be a risky play because the Phoenix ultimate is going to be dropped by a static number of hits regardless of damage. So if somebody does have that Alacrity Bloodlust combo on them, they're going to be able to chip away at that Phoenix relatively quickly. So it's something to be mindful of if you're Phoenix this game, as to just what players have what buffs and what spells are already out on the board. RDZ immediately following the Phoenix pickup, snap pick the Darkseer, and kind of seal their team lineup as the AoE team
10
fighting
seconds to
lineup,
go.
even the Ogre Magi to a lesser extent. That's not going to let me click on the map, so I'm going to have to do it by keys. Make sure overlays look good. Alright, well, we have the pause here. Let's go through team introductions. Since Orange has disconnected, I'll start with the Dire. Assuming I can find them all. Yep, there's kind of a good screenshot of the whole team hanging out in the secret shop. As I screw it up. It looks like Chen is mid-air here, though. You can see his whatever mount that is. What is that thing? It's a riding cat. Kind of just clawing at the air. Looks like he's being attacked by Magmean's Phoenix. But you have ABC, ABC, 123, 123 playing the Chen. You have Magmean playing the Phoenix. Next to them, you have Amy playing the Beastmaster. Next to the Beastmaster, you have Duralius. Or Duralius? Darylus. Dorlus? I gotta give him crap about the pronunciation of his name. And last but not least, the hero who's already starting to make a run for it here. You have Magmean role-playing his Phoenix role here so far by letting loose with some Phoenix roars and the Baka! Meanwhile, Kupo is going to be playing your Juggernaut as he sprints away from the fountain here with no items, just leaving his team back at base. Meanwhile, on the opposing side of the map here, hopefully, once the game starts, I'll be able to click around the map. Otherwise, this is going to be an interesting game. No, it's not going to let me do it, so it's going to be some challenging camera work here, as I'm going to be forced to scroll across the entire map for each kill. I may do a quick Dota reboot here once the game gets started. Going through introductions on RDZ. You have the latecomer to the match, Fun, playing the gyrocopter. Trying to click on heroes and it's not working. There we go. You have Chazzle Dazzle playing the Ogre Magi. Meanwhile, in the top lane here, you have Phoenix playing not the Phoenix, but the Darkseer instead. And last but certainly not least, down here you have Run playing your Invoker. And setting up in position here for the bot rune, you have Ratman playing your Jakiro. So while the game is paused here, I'm actually going to see if I can't reboot Dota and get my commands taken care of there. So it should just be about a 30-second reboot. I apologize for the blank screen at the moment. We'll be right back into some Dota. Into the load screen, and hopefully they have not unpaused in game yet, so hopefully we haven't lost anything. Oh, and the match has started. I do have control of the map once again, so thankful for that. And it's going to be the Invoker securing the bot rune for RDZ and the Beastmaster securing the rune for Plasma Nation. So the rune's going 1-1, And even though there was kind of some smoked pressure coming up here into the top rune area, Darkseer spotted it out, and he hasn't even put a point into anything, so he didn't have to quite surge away. And Plasma Nation may have just called off that push due to some of the pauses disrupting the overall synergy of an early smoke gank. Throwing on the last ditch chart here at the beginning, as it's the Beastmaster versus the Invoker in the middle lane, and Amy just running uphill. It looks like he's going to get first blood, just man-moding into this Invoker who thought he was going to be able to just stand his ground, but definitely not the case, as Amy just right-clicked him down, threw a couple axes there, and he's going to be the beneficiary there of first blood. You don't need to see the fight recap. We all know what happened. And yeah, you can see the very early alacrity being put out there. It looks like the bonus attack speed scales up to 115. So in combination with the Bloodlust, which was 60, I believe. Yep, 60. That's 175 bonus attack speed to an individual hero if they do want to super boost someone. Checking out the other lanes here, you have Phoenix the Darkseer, so that's going to be confusing here, as there is a Phoenix played by Magmine for Plasma Nation, but Phoenix is playing Darkseer for RDZ. So let's make sure it's perfectly confusing. ABC has picked himself up one of the wildlings, and he's just kind of doing the jungle thing for now, while Dorelius tries to zone out this Darkseer. Just non-stop right-click harass here onto the Darkseer, who does have the Stout Shield and a couple regen items. He's had to eat through his tangos, but it's providing some relatively safe coverage for Kupo to farm up. He is eating a fair amount of damage from those ion shells, but he's come prepared. He has 6 more tangos, a healing salve, and an enchanted mango. Not to mention the regen that'll be coming out from the Witch Doctor here. ABC has made his first rotation out of the jungle, and they look to make a go onto Invoker here, but he's quick to skill up into that Ghost Walk, and he makes his way out to safety here, as there is currently no reveal in place. But there is a double damage rune on the Bounty Hunter. Meanwhile, in the bottom lane, RDZ have been pushing this Phoenix, the Magmine Phoenix, the Phoenix hero, not the Phoenix player, back into his tower, and already dropping that tier 1 tower to just above half health. So their answer to the jungling Chen is to apply some early pressure to this middle lane here, and you blink and you miss it here, but the Beastmaster popping his double damage rune dives into the tier 1 tower and secures his second kill against Invoker. And now with double damage, he's going to just chase down this Ogre Magi, and it looks like with 2 more hits he probably got it. He commits the axes instead of the right click, and he gets 3rd blood in addition to the first 2. So Amy playing a outstanding Beastmaster here in the middle lane. See him prioritizing skills into these animals here so that he has the slow to be able to catch up to this Invoker and right click him down. Meanwhile, on the bottom lane, you have Magmine finishing off his Tranquil Boots and just kind of hanging out in the flanks of the creep wave, trying to soak up some experience. But with ABC in position here, he has the illusions, he has the Centaur, he has a Satyr. I think they're going to look to push into this tower here as long as there's not a ton of reinforcements. It looks like reinforcements are going to be on the way here. You have the stun coming out from Centaur. Ice Path slightly off the mark from Ratman as he misses ABC. And Fun is diving after ABC. He is going to be able to get it, but unfortunately he's going to be burned to death by the Phoenix. So it's a 1-for-1 trade, trading the Gyrocopter for the Phoenix thus far. The Icarus dive is still on cooldown, so he's going to have to get back to base here. He does manage to avoid the ice path, and Chen assisting in death with his leftover centaur. Looks like it might get whittled down here by the creeps. Magmin pulling aggro off of it briefly to allow that centaur time to waddle back home. But RDZ securing their first kill of the match, making it 1 for 4. And being able to put a stop to Chen's relatively early aggression. Beastmaster securing level 4 for his Call of the Wild, so he's going to have multiple boars out here and look to either just chip away at this tower, or if that invoker sticks his head out just a little too far, he's proven that he's not afraid to dive in and go for a kill here. He's even moved the hawk to the high ground, and just, you can see these boars right clicking down, putting that poison stack on top of the invoker, who's going to be forced to ghost walk his way away from the boars there. Chen, deep in the enemy jungle, is going to be chased out by the Jakiro, but he eats some heavy nuke damage from the Satyr, the Centaur, and of course the Chen himself, and now he's looking to get another kill. Meanwhile, Beastmaster mows down Invoker for the 4th time, I believe, on his way to help his ally finish off the Ogre Magi. And they're going to run into another hero, so it's a 2-for-2 or 2-on-2 fight here, but really it's just RDZ running for their lives as the Wild Axes cut through the Gyrocopter, secure the first kill, and it's the Witch Doctor Durelius making his first appearance into the bottom lane here, securing the last hit on Ogre Magi. Ice Path was able to connect on one, but unfortunately not enough to secure an escape path for his allies. This has left Kupo alone in this top lane and freed up Phoenix to kind of scoot forward here and pick up a little bit more last hit and a little bit more experience for himself. Sorry for some tours there. Looking at the Twitch chat there. And I missed the first kill on the top lane as the Juggernaut was able to walk forward and get what I presume to be the Omni slash kill. Yep. Completed against the Darkseer, but in the bottom lane here, it's Phoenix who falls as the Gyrocopter rotates forward and hits him with the Rocket Barrage, and down he goes. So a Phoenix for a Darkseer, both teams losing their off lane here at the 8-minute mark. Now it's Beastmaster who may be in trouble here as he eats a Fire Blast, followed by an Ice Path, and he's slowly burning down. We'll see if they're able to catch him. You have a rotation coming in from the Witch Doctor, and Amy turns and lets loose a roar onto the overextended Jakiro, and they melt him before his allies can really do anything about it. Meanwhile, in this bottom lane you had, I'm not sure if ABC got an assist there, it doesn't look like it. It must have been Magmin just going toe-to-toe with the Gyrocopter and burning him down one-on-one. So Plasma Nation averaging just over a kill a minute here at the 9-minute mark, where RDZ have only been able to secure 2 response kills for themselves. And you can see Plasma Nation playing hyper aggressive. Right now, there's 4 heroes from Plasma Nation on the enemy side of the map, and just 1 in the background. You have Aurelius stepping forward, letting loose a Cask and a Maledict, and Koopa's going to spin to win, secure himself a kill. Now Durelius trying to stall out the chase against his hard carry and rotate down to his Phoenix ally, but is ultimately just going to sacrifice himself. Phoenix debuting the egg there for the first time, but he's surrounded by 4 heroes, and they're just going to chip that down. Meanwhile, the Omni Slash coming out from Kupo is going to get him a kill on the Gyrocopter and escape him, or allow him to escape the call down. And it's a 2-for-2 trade here by the looks of things. The chase is still on to this Beastmaster, and we'll see if they're able to get it. but Duralius is here. He pops the Maledict, a few stuns, the axes are out, and that's going to be enough to kill him. And now they're even turning to see if they can kill this Invoker, who was not affected by the Maledict, so he's going to be able to pop his phase boots and just get back up to the high ground. So all said and done, it looks like a 3-for-3 trade there, with the Ogre, Darkseer, and Gyrocopter going down in exchange for the Witch Doctor, Juggernaut, and Phoenix. Duralius maybe pushing a little too far as a solo support there. But he's not going to be punished for it too bad. And you can see what I'm talking about with the aggression here. Down in the Radiant jungle, there's 3 Plasma Nation heroes chasing after and actually catching the Gyrocopter here. Phoenix is not going to have egg for another 20 seconds, so he's just going to be throwing out some burn damage here as Invoker shows up to the party as well, throws out a meatball slightly off the mark. And so far it's a 1-for-1 trade as Chen has gone down, now Phoenix has gone down in exchange for the Gyrocopter, but they answer by dropping the Ogre Magi, and now it's the Chen Creeps versus Invoker and the Darkseer versus the Beastmaster. So I'll try to keep them both in view here, but it looks like Invoker is going to get away, and the ring around the rosy dance from Beastmaster is eventually going to end as Darkseer is able to keep up with them thanks to that surge. Ton of tiny creeps coming out from Chen right now as the Mud Golem has split into its subsequent parts, but each of them does have that mini stun capability. So he's got what, 3 mini stuns there and a couple relatively weak skeleton warriors. Duralius may be overextending here once again as he jumps forward onto the Gyrocopter. He does get the stun Maledict off, and Phoenix making a Icarus dive through the Pyroblast is going to be eventually beaten down by the Ogre Magi and the Jakiro, but he was able to apply those burn effects to the Gyrocopter, who had successfully chased down the Witch Doctor, but eventually burned to his death as well. So it's your hard carry in exchange for a support and a offlaner. But right now, if you're RDZ, you'll be willing to make that trade 1 for 2. And RDZ spotting out the rune there in their jungle and successfully dewarding that.
Radiant's middle tower is under attack.
The top lane here, you have Duralius just all over the map here, and he's going to let loose with what I believe is the first Death Ward onto the solo Darkseer. Magni swooping in, trying to get some of the kill action himself. I don't think he got there in time, but definitely got some of the free experience compliments of Duralius' handiwork. Meanwhile, the Juggernaut, having finished the Battle Fury, has rotated into the middle lane here. Ogre Magi, let's take a look across the board here at some of the items. You have multiple smokes being carried by the supports on RDZ. Duralius sticking his head into the woods. He's hit with an ice path, and then ABC's creeps look to zone out to the Invoker, while Phoenix provides some cover fire in the literal sense of the word fire by diving through the tree line there. But Beastmaster with a few illusions here complements one of the runes, is going to flank RDZ and keep them pretty preoccupied and force them to clump up pretty tightly onto this tier 2 tower. See Fun, the only hero who's really pushed out beyond a tier 2 tower right now. And he does have a town portal scroll to retreat back if needed. Checking out map vision, you can see that they are getting dewarded there at the secret shop, but before that they were able to identify 4 heroes on the map. Sunstrike coming out from the Invoker is going to be slightly off the mark between ABC and Magni, and the Meatball's not going to be there either. So big wombo combo coming out from Plasma Nation as they dive behind the tower, come with a Phoenix Icarus dive, a Witch Doctor cask into Death Ward, and they just clean up 3 heroes real quick. They mow down the tower, they force run to run back to the fountain. Now they're looking to push uphill for the first time this game, pre-16 minutes. So not quite as fast as they've been known to group up and push high ground, but 16 minutes in is by no means a slow set of racks, as they first focus down the ranged racks. They do some damage to the melee racks, but not ready to commit everything quite yet. They retreat out. That decision of whether you focus down the melee racks or the ranged racks is always very difficult, very time sensitive, because as you know, the ranged racks do not regenerate health, the melee racks does. So the damage that they've done here is going to be repaired at a rate of 5 HP a second, so it takes a while. Speaking of damage being done, and the Invoker is going to secure himself a kill by the Witch Doctor, who was kind of, once again, a little bit too far forward. But I think that just comes with the strategy that Plasma Nation are employing here, where they're constantly trying to keep that aggression up, constantly
Double damage.
let RDZ think that they're in their face at all times. RDZ have smoked up, and so there's a Hawk coming out here, but it's not going to spot them out, as they're going to jump into Roach thinking they're safe. Ice Path slightly off the mark, just stalling out the Chen creeps, and the call down is also going to be a complete whiff here as Phoenix dives behind the enemy team once again, and he's going to be able to get his egg off. Nope, the cask almost buying enough time for that egg to drop, but instead it just lined up a beautiful Death Ward, which essentially team wiped RDZ in its entirety, and you lost the Chen and the Phoenix there for the entire RDZ squad. But just as importantly, it freed them up to go back to the job at hand here, which was finishing off Roshan. So they finish him off, and you can see the Zookeeper build coming out from Beastmaster as he goes from 0 to 60 and instantly finishes a Necronomicon from 0 to level 3 in one fell swoop. So having saved up a bunch of his gold apparently and deciding now's the time to pull that trigger, so it's going to be a pretty significant power jump for them. And Witch Doctor sitting on about 3k gold himself after securing multiple kills there. Off the back of that very well placed paralyzing cask and maledict.
Radiant's bottom tower is fallen.
Meanwhile, in the top lane, that melee barracks has completely healed itself up. And Plasma Nation deciding to take things a little bit more slowly, a little bit more safe, and instead of pushing into the high ground with all 5 RDZ heroes up, they instead opt to rotate to the middle lane here. They're going to chip away at this tower, and RDZ are forced to just sacrifice that one, let it go, and kind of group up and prepare for a stoic defense inside their own base. The other thing dropping that tier 2 tower allows Plasma Nation to do is, if they do decide to push down this bottom lane here, they're going to be able to drop the mid racks as well, because it will no longer have backdoor protection. Beastmaster trying to rotate the Hawk into enemy territory there, and he's taking the long path to get there. And Invoker, keeping an eye out for it, is going to be able to kill it. So no uphill vision for them right away here, but they do have the boars, they do have the Necronomicon creeps, they do have the Chen army coming out, and it stuns the gyrocopter as Phoenix once again dives into the background. Cascade comes out from Aurelius, as well as the Phoenix egg ultimately landing that go around. Now they turn back to the tower as everyone from Plasma Nation sitting at nearly full strength. It's forced several buybacks out from RDZ. That's going to be a dieback from the Dark Tier here. Kupo eating a big fire blast from the Ogre Magi as well as a what's it called? Rocket Barrage. So he's going to lose his Aegis here for his first life, and the rest of the team focusing down these barracks here. You have Durelius throwing out some casks to kind of stun up RDZ and stall them out. You had Magmine diving behind them, throwing out some of those fire spirits, slowing their attack speed, slowing their move speed, and keeping them just relatively damaged, not doing a ton of like nuke damage by any means, but that slow burn damage, which if you're Fun, for example, he was sitting at about 500 HP. That's not something you want to commit a call down dive into an enemy squad if you're only sitting at 500 HP, because you could just get primal roared and you get deleted from the game pretty quick. So the second set of racks, or I guess the first full set of racks, the top ranged one's gone, the bottom set is gone, and now if you're Plasma Nation, you should be sitting pretty comfortable here with a 25k net worth lead at the 21-minute mark. It's kind of that magical point of almost being unthrowable. I mean, if you know Magmine, you know anything is throwable. But in this case, they would have to throw pretty hard. He's going to dive after Fun Run down here, getting some burn damage out on both, as well as debuting his Shiva's Guard. I didn't see who he had thrown the urn onto there. It's probably Invoker? I'm not quite sure. But you can see the line of vision that Plasma Nation has across the map is just, it's hyper aggressive. It's pretty much at the tier 2 tower level across the entire map. So while they don't have much vision of like their own jungle, they don't really feel that they need it, and all they've been using it for thus far is just kind of a harvesting ground for Chen to pick up some creeps and march down the lane. And you can see on the back of a full army here, he has the Centaur, he has the Wildling, he has the Satyr, he has the Alpha Wolf. He's going to be bringing an army of auras here. He's got the health gen armor, I don't think that's one of them, is it? Yeah, so armor, regen, crit, and the Centaur stun, and general tankiness. Yeah, the roar coming out, landing onto the Invoker there, and he's going to be dove on by the Phoenix, who's eating some right-click damage from the Jakiro and the Gyrocopter, but it's not going to be enough to kill him. So he gets a second dive off, finishing off the Gyrocopter. Jakiro's going to make his way back to the fountain, but he's going to be the last man standing. Plasma Nation finish up the mid-racks, turn their focus to the top, but GG is called by RDZ. And that is going to be game one, going the way of Plasma Nation. 24 minutes into the game. Yet another strong performance coming out from Plasma Nation. They were definitely slight favorites coming into this, as they have won 7 of their past 8 games so far in the AD2L series. And RDZ have walked away with 3 wins and 5 losses coming into this matchup. But as we've all seen in Dota, anything is possible. So RDZ are definitely going to try to make it a 1-for-1 series in this best of 2 match between Plasma Nation and RDZ. So got some Twitch chat followers asking for medals. So medals all around. If you're in Twitch chat right now, you receive the coveted Darmin Award. So consider yourself lucky. But I am Darmin, coming to you live on twitch.tv/DarminCast, casting the AD2L Season 10 Week 5 matchup between Plasma Nation and I've been calling him RDZ, but it's Reborn Domination Z. So we'll be back momentarily here for Game 2. Stay tuned. I'll kick on some music until the next match starts, and we'll get into it as fast as possible. Thanks.